Hello, my festival goer peeps. This is Kat, aka Kakibot, and I just could not help myself. I had to make yet another video about Edinburgh Festival Fringe. So yes, we are going to be, over the next couple of days, exploring around the festival area, avoiding screeching seagulls, and showing you what this year's Fringe is all about. Now, I asked you in my community tab what you are the most curious about, and you said you are most curious about vibes, which is kind of an ethereal thing, and I'm gonna try and capture that, because about 50% of you are just obsessed with vibes, the Fringe vibes, which I kind of get, but it gives me a bit of an artistic challenge. And also about 30% of you were interested in food. Thankfully, there's always quite a lot of food happening around Fringe, and it is one of my favorite things to explore when festival is on. I obviously have some tickets for shows, but that's surprisingly your last priority on the things that I ask you about. So yeah, I will be telling you about the shows that I went to, especially on the opening weekend, but I'm not gonna be slowing this video down too much with that, so don't worry. Also, if you're looking for some practical info and for some tips on how to plan your Fringe experience, I've already made a little video about that previously, about like 2 months ago. I think that I've kind of overestimated just how early some of you will be planning for your Fringe experience. So yeah, I'm reminding you now, that video is up over here. There's going to be a link in the description as well. And now we're going to actually go see what Fringe looks like. Yeah. In my last year's vlog, I told you that the top of Royal Mile is kind of where the regular tourist and the Fringe overlap in August, making it possibly the most hardcore area to try and walk through this month. Which is why this year I am going straight to George Square. In my book, both one of the nicest spots to hang out and also one of the areas with the best food choices, and also where you will find possibly the greatest concentration of big venues. First, a day with Assembly Festival, who have offered us mystery tickets. So yeah, a real blind dive into the 3,000 plus shows Fringe has on in 2024. Neither of these were a show I was in any way planning to see on my own. Milanka Brooks' storytelling show was funny, but mostly moving, so if you remember how I said you should bring a fan to keep cool during Fringe, oh my god, do also bring some tissues. The Yak Circus from Australia is apparently a bit of a Fringe staple at this point. Only shows how easy it is to perceive the festival through tunnel vision and be blissfully unaware of all the coolest stuff. Definitely a highlight of my Fringe opening weekend. One of the reviews said that this show made them feel like they could fight a bear and win, and after seeing it myself, I can only concur. The space at Assembly George Square seems very family-friendly. On a warm weekend, it was absolutely packed. My personal fave around here, drinks-wise, is the sangria, and I shall be having more of those in the upcoming month, thank you. I can also see that this year there is a lot of hard seltzer being pushed, which is lucky, because on days when I am not a fun sangria cat, I am definitely a beige White Claw person. Of course, the whole walk around George Square traditionally has a lot of street food to be enjoyed too: seafood, crepes, gelato, Indian cuisine, which can be a good choice for veggie pals, and this year I am psyched to tell you that Simon's favorite breakfast snack spot, Pablo Eggs Go Bao, have a truck here. Eggy. Later on, we also went to see Mythos Ragnarok at my favorite Brutalist theatre. This is Nordic mythology told through the medium of wrestling, and you might be surprised by just how well that works. The second half of the square is taken by Underbelly, with their iconic upside-down cow tent. I find this to be a much chiller area than Assembly. There's just less tables and more of these loungy beach chairs, but still a lot of bars and food stalls to take advantage of.
And of course, both Underbelly and Assembly have a good number of public restrooms if that's what you need, and you eventually will. Although the nicest ones might be down at the Assembly studios, so if you want more space or just more structural integrity from your loo, I recommend popping down there. Pleasance, quite a special place. I always find this is where you bump into most somewhat famous faces. Of course, if you are a Fringe fan person, you will find yourself extremely starstruck. Before seeing Abby Wamba's stand-up preview, we grabbed some pizzas from Pizza Geeks. These are smaller than their usual pizzas, but they are still very fluffy and tasty, and can recommend. Down in Newtown, Innocent Gun have built a little pop-up with a bar and a couple of food trucks, and I quite like that the bar has a little viewing platform from which you can really enjoy the sight of summery gardens. Or street performers. Or both. After all, this is one of the street performance hotspots. We came here to try the award-winning Fred's Backyard Barbecue, which was indeed very tasty, but I will warn you that on the weekend, the wait is about 30 minutes, which is objectively quite a lot for street food if you ask me. If you want things to be a bit speedier, further along in Waverley Mall, you can get your hands on Acai Parlour's delicious acai bowls, which I find, it's a quite nice alternative to the usual quite heavy, greasy street food of Fringe season. They have this pop-up here next to the main entrance until the end of the month, and I really thoroughly enjoyed mine with peanut butter and cacao nibs and fresh raspberries. What a lifesaver on a humid, warm day. On George Street, you will find another venue cluster from Assembly, a good way of replenishing some energy after you've been out shopping. And now, a bit of a surprise to me too. I am actually on my way to the military tattoo. Yeah, I was not expecting this either, but a lovely friend of the channel, Catherine, couldn't make it to Edinburgh, so she has gifted her wonderful ticket to me. Thank you so much, Catherine. So I believe that on weekends you get 2 shows, one kind of daytimey-ish, and the second one rolling into nighttime, finishing at around 11 p.m. Mine was the earlier one, and despite arriving much earlier than the app has suggested, the queue was already humongous, albeit quite peaceful. It took me about 30 minutes of hanging out with the other waiting folks. I actually brought a book, so it wasn't that bad, and the weather was also on our side. But if you're coming to the tattoo, I recommend not only preparing for your comfort in the arena, but also within the queue itself. The show was surprisingly entertaining. I mean, who would have thunk that I am actually a huge fan of American military brass bands? The US groups specifically were bringing in a lot of unexpected glam, although the Scottish side of the show was also not shying away from innovation, Eurovision vibes. overall, a really fun experience, and I am ever so thankful I finally got to see it with my own eyeballs. Now one last foodie highlight. Under the castle-ish at Cowgate, which is admittedly a bit of a pain in the butt to walk around when it's busy, but you know, it's Fringe, like what can you do? You will find a little chill food court with treats like vegan tacos from Antojitos or this new sandwich effort from the guys behind Haymarket's favorite little coffee shop, Throat Punch. Now, these are hefty sandwiches, perfect for when you're really trying to soak up some alcohol. And of course, you can also get a very tasty flat white here. Again, the peeps from Throat Punch are very serious about their coffo, so you can very much trust them with a brew.
So, believe it or not, it is Monday night. All of this busyness is just blowing my mind. We have spent the past 4-5 days kind of at and around Fringe trying to collect nice little tidbits and kind of like see if we can find some tips for you. But as you asked for vibes, and hopefully vibes is what you got. And right now you are getting a very tired vibe because on kind of theme, like one of my favorite pins. Actually, I am just realizing now that I am wearing a very on-theme pin, which is my Frazzled by Fringe pin. You can get it at Scottish Design Exchange on George Street, as always, and also in my Etsy shop. So yeah, you can visit my Etsy shop. There's going to be a link down in the doobly-doo, as always. If you also feel frazzled by Fringe a bit, I do have a bunch of ideas for little day trips on this channel, so please go and peruse all the extra videos that are available. And you can also visit me on Patreon. There are even more ideas there, and also some just kind of general chill videos for people who like what I make and want to support me. Wow, wind is picking up. We are really getting kind of an autumnal atmosphere these days. I would say overall this year, I mean, this for me is already like 5 days in the most busy Fringe I've ever had. Obviously partially because I don't have a day job anymore, so I do have a lot more freedom to enjoy it, and that's great. I've seen 5 shows at this point so far, and I have to say that there's like an art to combining kind of like a sort of a deeper, moving, sort of vulnerable storytelling and comedy with some just like straight up very like physical stuff, which always I find that very relaxing to watch some like shirtless men throw each other around. It's just like that makes me forget about how kind of like emotionally fragile a different show has made me feel. Yeah, so that would be my pro tip for how to pick a good show. If you want to keep following my adventures around Fringe, don't forget that I'm on Instagram, as always, KhakiBot for my illustrations, but in this case mostly KhakiBlog for my photos of life in Edinburgh. I'm definitely gonna keep posting stories about what I'm up to. Yeah, so go give me a follow there if you're curious about what's on Fringe. I don't know if you guys can like overhear any of the conversations I can overhear. My ears are very good at that. Those girls were just like mesmerized by sausages if you didn't overhear. Fun. Okay, I'm going to bed now because people are making eye contact and it's making me nervous. This is very much out of my comfort zone. Fringe. Have a good time in Fringe. Let me know what good shows you saw and all of that, and I shall see you soon.